God bless you. This is Bishop Jerry Maynard, and this is Sunday Night Live. As you know, we have been having different persons to be a part of Sunday Night Live as our guest, and they have been talking about things that they are doing relative to connecting with the community. We understand that it is extremely important that we do connect with the community because we are responsible, in my opinion, for helping as much as we possibly can to affect positive change within our communities. Sometimes faith-based organizations feel that they should be comfortable in their four walls and not go outside. But here at Cathedral of Praise, we feel that we have to do more than have worship and have a spoken word on Sunday, but our responsibility is like unto the words of Jesus, go ye into all the world. So we feel that we need to go into all the world and we need to do everything that we possibly can. We are not under the misunderstanding that we have the capability to doing all things by ourselves. We know that we cannot, and never was it intended by God that we should do so. So we have other people doing many things and multiple things. So we've had guests to come on to talk about all the things that they're doing as it relates to mental health, as it relates to housing, education, multiple things that they have talked to us about. We do understand the pandemic that we're involved in. We understand the racial unrest. Of course, racial unrest is not new. We've had that for years. And unless we do something about it, we will continue to have it. And then we had a tornado right here in Nashville and the surrounding areas during the same period. Actually, economic problems as well nationally. As I said, there has not been one thing that we have had like we have in the past. All these things came at the same time. But, you know, in the midst of all of that, there yet has to be something that we can find peace and enjoyment with and reflect upon things of the past and see what people have done and it calls us to be the kind of people that we are here in these United States of America. And I have a guest tonight who is going to be speaking to you and concerning certain things and questions that we'll be asking. Dr. Dina Bennett is coming. She is the curator and director of the Black Museum. I said Black, it's not Black, it's African American Museum. And you need to shut up. You getting off to the wrong start here tonight. But anyway, she's going to correct me and we're going to get all this straight. And she is here and we're glad to have you with us tonight, Doctor. Why don't you just let the people know who you are, what you're doing, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Bishop Maynard. This is quite an opportunity for us, and we do consider ourselves part of the Nashville community. We are the National Museum of African American Music, and we are scheduled to open this fall at the location of 5th and Broadway as part of the new 5th and Broadway development there. And we are a new cultural institution to the scene. We are an African American cultural institution, but we are open for everyone. We tell a unique story that we want the masses to know about. We tell the story of the African American contribution to American music. We talk a lot about Black music, African American music, but we never talk about its history and how it has developed over the years. So we are a 56,000 square foot building as part of that 5th and Broadway development. We have 7 galleries that will feature within the museum. 6 of them are permanent, and 1 is a rotating gallery where we can bring in exhibits that will stay with us for 3 to 4 months and then move on. We also have a Roots Theater where visitors will come in and they will sit and watch a 15-minute introductory film that will set the foundation for the rest of their museum visit. We have over 25 interactive touch points throughout the museum, which basically means that we have tactile things that people can touch and experiment with. They can put on headsets and they can listen to different kinds of music. They can create different kinds of stories through these interactives. Now, we are living in the world of COVID. So we are taking the appropriate measures to make sure that we keep our distance. We're asking that visitors wear masks. We have a timed ticket system that we are using so that we can keep control of the number of people in the building at any one time. And then we are taking disinfectant and other kinds of measures with some of those tactile points in the museum. And I'll stop there to see if you want me to expand on anything else or anything that I've said up to this point.
Well, so far, I mean, it's exciting, and I'm sure that the people out there listening are as excited as I am as you described what you're doing in its particulars and the impact that it's going to have on our community. I would like to go back because I want the people out there to know that in a very sophisticated way, she was able to say to me, we are international. I like that. I like that. Thank you so very much. We are international. And so we not only impact the Nashville community, but we impact our nation and people worldwide. Anybody can come from all over and be a part of this. And that probably is the desire that you have, because it is a true fact that we enjoy things which are contemporary. We enjoy things that of some sense of immediacy, but we don't go back into history often and educate ourselves with regard to what caused these things to be. Who were the pushers at that particular time to make things come out the way that they have. And so I'm glad that you addressed that in your opening statement. And perhaps you can say to us, what in particular do you want us to get from the history of the African American music?
Well, I'd like for people to understand that African Americans have made a contribution to American music as we know it. One of the things that we are currently being approached about, being that we are this cultural institution that's new to Nashville, is we've been asked about what are the African American roots of country music. I don't think a lot of people realize that there are African American roots of country music.
Yes.
Yes, we are in Music City. Yes, it has in later years here become known as a music city based upon the country music genre. But if you go way back into the history, which we do in the museum, people will be able to read about and learn about the early history of blues and the race records and the way that music was marketed early on, and how because of the marketing, race music or jazz and blues became associated with African Americans and country music became associated with the white culture. So there's that whole history there of the marketing of the music and how that had an impact on how we would perceive music and whose music it is, or our perceptions of whose music it is. As far as music that's in the museum, we do touch on country music. We touch on spirituals, gospel, blues, rhythm and blues, hip hop, and jazz. We have major galleries, as I mentioned earlier, that address those genres. But we also, within those genres, touch on other subgenres. such as we talk about minstrelsy music. We talk about not Cajun music, but I'm trying to think of the other music. Zydeco. We talk about Zydeco. We talk about the Cuban influence on jazz. So there are some subgenres that we talk about as well.
Well, you know, just thinking about what you were saying, when I was probably 11 years old, in one of my classes, we had to write about someone who was outstanding in music. And so I wrote about William C. Handy. And
yes.
yeah, and thinking about that, I think about Elvis Presley, who was in Mississippi, who went to some black churches, who heard music over here, heard country, heard gospel, that wasn't gospel, just spiritual at that point, and put all that and combined those and came out with a sound, and went to some of those sanctified churches down there that did the holy dancing, and he learned some steps and the shaking going on, and came out, and the rest is history as it relates to him. Now, I'm not saying he got it all from the African-American experience, but I am saying it did have its influence on him. And so when you think about music, we often say this, that music is universal. And it being universal, the wording and the translation may not always be there, but there's something about music that helps us all. And so to have you here tonight to talk about it, I think it's great. 56,000 square feet.
Yes, sir.
That is awesome.
Yes.
And
now,
go ahead.
I was just going to add that within that space, Bishop, we also have multi-purpose rooms where we can use as classrooms if needed, or if an organization would like to rent the space for a meeting room. And we also have a green room. So if we have performances in the museum, we have somewhere where our artists or our musicians can prepare before the performance. So that's part of our 56,000 square feet as well.
That's good. And then, so across this nation, you have reached out. When I say you, I'm talking about the organization, has reached out and said to people, this is a project that we're doing, and we will appreciate having as many people who will support what we're doing, not only because you think it's a nice thing to do, but you're willing to give something toward it to help. And when I say something toward it, I'm speaking about money. And I'm pretty sure today that there is an opportunity for people to share. And I'm sure that there are methods by which they can do it. There are subscriptions that can be had, etc. Could you talk about that a little?
Sure. Well, right now we have our membership program where you can become members at various levels of the museum. This includes individual memberships. It also includes family memberships or group memberships. So be sure to check our website for that. Our website is NMAAM.org, NMAAM, NMAAM.org. Also, we've probably had two in the past. We're probably due for another one. We've had virtual town hall meetings where we've had different staff come before the people virtually to talk a little bit about what we have going on. We have a Facebook page where our education programs have had to, of course, go virtual because we are not, of course, in the schools or having any in-person kind of activities. So we are on social media platforms. I'm happy to say that we have sold over 80,000 individual tickets, and our membership base grows every single day. So there are ways to definitely become involved. Right now, we know we're still in COVID, but we are still trying to solidify our volunteer program. So if anyone is interested in volunteering, please reach out to us. And also we are looking for docents as well. And docents are really just basically museum tour guides.
Sure.
Calling our docents griots, which is an African word, and a griot in African culture is a storyteller.
Okay.
What our docents will be doing is helping to tell the story of African American music and culture.
Very outstanding. Speaking about tour, I am sure that when you really open up and say to the community, okay, we're prepared for you all, come one, come all.
Yes.
You're going to have these schools that would like to bring their students. Are you encouraging that kind of tourism?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Until we find out a little bit more about where COVID is going and what is happening. However, what we are looking into, I'm Curatorial Director, so I'm trying to make sure that we have all the exhibits, all the artifacts, all the films, everything that we need to complete those. So at the same time, I'm also looking at how do I do a virtual tour? How do I take someone like yourself who's sitting there in your office? How do I take you through the exhibits virtually as you sit there? How can you log on and how can you have a virtual tour through the museum galleries? So we are working on that.
Okay. And the reason I asked that question about schools, I was thinking, now you're not really open at the moment, right? Or you are?
No, we are not open at the moment.
In December?
We'll be open a little later this fall. Yeah, probably before December, but we're still trying to finalize our opening dates.
Okay.
Due to COVID, we have had some hangups there. So we are looking at opening within probably the next 2 to 3 months here.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I was, so I had my reference was to sometime later and not at the moment because I didn't feel that you were ready. But when you are ready to open up to the public, you then would encourage maybe tours from schools at that point. And who knows? We don't know. We don't know what this whole thing is about as it relates to COVID-19. We just don't know. And I want to get back into a point of discussion, if we may, because one of the things that we don't want to have, and I'm sure that you don't, and that is this division that exists today within our nation. It's been going on for quite some time. And I don't want to go way back into history, but I can remember the Otto Kerner report, who was the governor of Illinois at one time. And he talked about we were being faced with two societies in one, and one of the reasons that we have problems today is that there is a lack of knowledge of people and their contribution to America, who really is responsible for America being, and I have reference now to the United States of America, being what it is today. I don't think that this is personal. I don't think that you can go to one group and say that group alone is responsible. So one way to change the thought process of people is to give an understanding of who people are and the contributions that people have made. And I would think that might be something that you all are thinking about as it relates to the educational piece that you have. Can you talk about that a little?
Yes. So we are working on, our Director of Education and Public Programs is actually working on a curriculum that students in the schools can use to find out more about who these people are and what their contributions, or who these people were or and are, and what they've contributed. My background is I am an ethnomusicologist. An ethnomusicologist is someone who looks at culture, and that's the ethno, and then there's the musicology, which is the music. So we look at music making in culture. Specifically, of course, my emphasis is African American culture. So we look at the function and role of music and how that plays out in communities and music making. So I say all that to say that that's how we've laid the museum out. As you go through the museum, you not only learn about the music, but you learn about the people. You learn about the culture. You learn about what was happening when the spirituals came about. What was happening to the people, the culture? Well, they were enslaved. They were trying to deal with being in bondage. So do you know what I'm saying? We give that history as part of our storyline narrative of what is happening with culture in America. We have a timeline in one of our interactives where people can explore what was happening in America, not only with African American culture, but with American culture in general, the Vietnam War, the Great Migration. We have a film on the Great Migration. It is placed in our Crossroads Gallery, which is our blues gallery. So we talk a lot about people moving out of the South, moving to the North, taking their cultural traditions with them, which includes music. It also includes their religion. So they go to these cities, they create these storefront churches and other kinds of things. And out of that, of course, if you look at Chicago, comes gospel, Thomas Dorsey, and all of these things. So people will get a definitely it's a historical journey as well as a musical journey.
Great. You know, I've been involved in church for a number of years, and you go to different places. It's interesting how that music, at least the presentation of music, changes from time to time, depending. There are some churches that have been around for hundreds of years that have the same kind of music that they started with years ago. And then there are churches that have moved through that and have become less, I'm going to coin a word, less African American-ish.
Yes.
And have become, all right, and you have that. And the question is, should we ever desire to completely erase, and that's a strong word, I know, erase music from yesteryear that had such a impact upon the people because of the reason why they were singing it. All of it wasn't to get a spiritual high. Some of it was to say, hey, danger's on the way. These problems are coming, and we better get out of here quickly, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, those coded messages and such.
Yes, yes.
And you know, I keep thinking there is a bomb in Gilead. There is a bomb in Gilead, you know, so some of it was solace and healing. And then, of course, when you get into the blues, a lot of people think that the blues is something that was sung by slaves. It was not. It is a post-Reconstruction genre. And that's when, and not to get all scholarly, but that is when African Americans were dealing with what we call the burden of freedom.
Yes.
Because a lot of them ended up still being in a sharecropping system, which was still keeping many of them in poverty and facing other kinds of dangers and problems. And so they put that into music so they could cope with it, or try and cope with it. And then, you know, as you move along, you know, jazz comes along as well. And then you've got hip hop, and there's a certain reason why hip hop was created originally in the Bronx, and it was created so that young people could have something else to do besides get involved in gangs. So they
Yeah.
these parties and all of these other things. So there's a lot to the history. It just didn't show up one day.
Sure, sure. And even what we call rap music, it takes you, well, it depends upon who's doing it, but it takes you to yet another point in life and in our history. And so some of us grew up, you laughing now, watch it.
I'm laughing because I might know what you're talking about. Where are you going with that, Bishop?
So some of us grew up with that music, and I'm going to use an expression. I'm going to use an expression. I like using expressions. Some of us grew up in that Doris Day period of time when everything was just smooth and everything's going to end out all right and no problems, and nobody's going to talk about the police who's shooting and all that, or my baby's gone and left me. She won't be back no more. But when you put it all together, it impacts the lives of people. And some people I may not be able to reach, and some people, others can reach with what they are singing and the lyrics that they have. And sometimes it's not even the lyrics, it's just the beat that people are addressing that helps a lot of people. But I'm excited over the fact that you are so involved. You interest me when you said a few minutes ago, I don't want to be too scholarly on this, and then you brought forth a point which is good. I believe this, and I'm saying this because this is my first time having talked with you, I believe, and I believe this is my first time for us to have met. But I would love an opportunity, because of the COVID, we're not opening our doors completely either. I mean, we do have people who come to church on Sunday, but not near the number of people who we have as far as members are concerned. And that's fine with me. I don't want people going through situations. But one thing that I would love to do, and I think that would be helpful to us, if I would set up a time, not just Sunday Night Live, but I would like to set up a time where that you could come on and really speak to us in your own way. Not saying you haven't done that tonight, but I just want you to feel free to speak about where you are, because you have done in your profession and in your learning and expertise what I do in mine. And that is, you have shared with me something that's been very helpful to me and impactful. And I'd like for our congregation, or as many who will come on, are on to, we have 5 platforms. And I would like for you to be able to go out on all 5 platforms and address yourself to where you are with these. Because see, we say genre, and someone said, well, there's, what do you mean genre? Are there several, or is there just one, or what? And so we know that there are multiple. But what I'd like for you to do is come on and just say, hey, this is what it's all about. And I feel we'll be blessed.
I would love to do that. And church is special to me. I am a former minister of music back in Kansas. I'm from Kansas. So I would love to. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yes. Kansas. You over in the Kansas City, Kansas side.
I'm actually from Topeka, which is about an hour west of that. That's the capital. Of course, that's Brown v. Board.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. I've been to Topeka.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it when I was there.
Very good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And so that's great to know that you're from Kansas.
Yes.
And that a lot of history in Kansas. A
Yes,
whole
there
lot of
is.
history of
There
Kansas.
is.
One
Yes.
more time, would you please one more time let the people know
Yes.
how they can reach you through your email or through your website or whatever?
Sure. We are across all social platforms at the NMAAM, THENMAAM.org. That is also our website, nmaam.org. Please go to the website, read more about who we are, where we're located, what we have to show to the public, what our story is. Also, feel free to look at the membership information. We'd love for you to join us and be part of our family. And then I want to make a special acknowledgement. I want to thank the Maynard family and the Cathedral of Praise community for believing in the vision of this cultural and educational institution that we call NMAAM. Your generosity is a testament to you being visionaries and seeing the monumental impact that the museum could have, not just in Nashville, but on a national scale, which we talked about at the very beginning of this conversation. Your dedication to the Nashville community is truly unmatched, and NMAAM is honored to have you as a partner. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your kindness. We appreciate you, and certainly we are interested in seeing that this does extremely well in our community, so people from all over can come and see what they need to see and learn what they need to learn. For those of you who have been listening, we are appreciative of a guest again of Dr. Bennett, who has been with us, and we want you to know one thing is for certain. She may not be able to be where you are at all times, and neither will I physically. But through technology, you're never alone because we are where you are.